Hello, English learners, and welcome to English Pod. My name is Marco.
I'm Amira.
All right, Amira is here today, and she is going to tell us about the wonderful lesson she has prepared this time.
Well, thank you, Marco. Well, today we have a very interesting lesson prepared for you. It's about someone cutting in line.
Cutting in line, okay.
Yeah, it happens all the time and we all get very upset about it, but it happens.
Right. Well, I imagine that everyone is wondering what cutting in line is. Why don't we just listen to the dialogue one time, and then when we come back, Amira and I will gladly explain all the vocabulary in this dialogue.
Let's listen.
I can't believe it took us 2 hours to get here. The traffic in New York is unbelievable.
Yeah, but just relax, honey. We're here and we're going on vacation. In a few hours, we'll be in Hawaii and you'll be on the golf course.
Oh no, look at that line. It must be a mile long. There's no way I'm waiting for another 2 hours.
Honey, don't.
Hey, man, the end of the line is over there.
Yeah.
No, seriously, I was here first, and you can't cut in line like this.
Says who?
I do.
So sue me.
All right, that's it.
Whoa, I think there's punching.
Yeah, I guess this guy he's just a crazy, impatient man, huh?
Yes, but we don't want to talk about this now. But for now, we will treat some of the vocabulary and very useful phrases in the dialogue.
Great.
So, Marco, do you want to start?
Yes, let's take a look at our first word would be unbelievable.
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 Exactly, and just how you say it, it's something incredible, something amazing.
Yeah, but I would like to point out that unbelievable was used here to describe the man's frustration. He's not happy about the traffic in New York.
Exactly, perfect. Okay, in the next part, the woman, she's trying to calm and relax her husband, and she says that they'll be in Hawaii in a few hours, and you'll be on the golf course.
Right, so we'll be in Hawaii and you'll be on the golf course.
Yes, we'll be in Hawaii and you'll be on the golf course.
So this is a great way of talking about your physical location in the future.
Right. So for example, Amira, tomorrow, where will you be?
Don't worry, Marco. I'll be in the office tomorrow.
Perfect, right? That's where I need you to be.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Well, I have another interesting phrase here for you. Must be a mile long.
A mile long.
A mile long.
A mile long.
Now, that's basically not a mile. It's not a kilometer long, but it's another way of saying that this line is really, really long.
Right, it's just an exaggeration. Now let's take a look at there's no way.
There's no way.
There's no way.
There's no way.
Perfect. Let's listen to some other examples on how we use there's no way in a different situation, and then we can come back and talk about it a little bit more.
There's no way I can have those reports finished today.
The stadium is so crowded that there's no way we'll find a seat.
Do you think Michael's gonna buy that house?
There's no way he has enough money to buy it.
All right, everyone. So there's no way is another way of saying it is impossible.
Exactly. There's no way you should miss this podcast, right?
Yes. Well, I have another phrase for you as well. Cut in line.
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 So again, we have some really good examples on how you could use this phrase in different situations. Let's listen to the examples and then we can come back and talk about it some more.
Excuse me, I'm really late. Can I cut in line, please?
I hate it when people cut in line at the bank. It's so rude.
I think it's okay when a pregnant woman cuts in line.
All right, everyone, cut in line.
Right, so from the examples, we can understand that it means when you are standing in line somewhere and somebody gets in front of you.
Right. I have another phrase for you here. Sue me.
Sue me.
Sue me.
Sue me.
Okay, now sue me is not a nice phrase. If you hear that, you know you're in trouble.
Yeah, it's kind of rude, I guess, to say sue me.
Right. Well, it actually means like taking someone to court and asking for money because someone has harmed you in a way. I think that we should listen to the dialogue one more time and try to figure out why he used that phrase and if he's really going to take him to court.
Welcome back, beautiful learners, to another calming and inspiring episode here on English Fluent Zone. I'm Leanna, and I'm truly happy you're joining us today. I hope you're feeling relaxed, curious, and ready to learn something practical that will help you in real life. Today's topic is something we all experience at least once in our lives, a situation that can make even the calmest person feel frustrated. We're talking about cutting in line. And trust me, this episode will be full of useful expressions, cultural tips, and real-life English that you can use immediately.
Absolutely. And I'm Luca. I'm excited because this topic is surprisingly deep. It's not just about getting angry at someone who jumps ahead of you. It's about respect, communication, emotions, and knowing the right phrases to express yourself politely or firmly. And as English learners, this is something you definitely need in your language toolbox.
That's right, and you'll hear many natural expressions today, expressions that native speakers use every day. For example, phrases like, "Excuse me, the line starts over there," or "I think you might have skipped the line," or even more emotional ones like, "Hey, that's not fair." These little phrases can make your communication clearer and more confident.
Let's start with a simple story. Imagine you're at the airport after a long trip. Your legs are tired, your back hurts, you're dreaming of going home, and finally, you reach the security line. And then suddenly, someone casually walks right in front of you like they own the place. No eye contact, no apology, nothing.
That moment. That moment is a universal feeling. It doesn't matter where you live, cutting in line touches something deep in everyone. It's like your sense of fairness suddenly wakes up and says, absolutely not.
Exactly. And here's a little cultural note. In many countries, standing in line, or queuing, as the British say, is a quiet social agreement. It's a sign of respect, patience, and equality. Everyone waits their turn. But when someone breaks this rule, people react very differently depending on the culture.
Right. For example, in some cultures, if someone cuts in line, people speak up immediately. They say things like, "Excuse me, the line is behind us," or "Sorry, but we've been waiting too." But in other cultures, people stay silent, maybe give a little sigh or a small annoyed smile. Sometimes they avoid conflict completely. And knowing these differences helps you understand how to act politely in English-speaking countries.
Speaking of politeness, English learners often struggle with sounding too strong or too soft. So here's a useful mini tip. If you want to stay polite but firm, you can use softeners. For example, "I think you might have missed the line." "Sorry, I believe the line starts behind us." These phrases communicate the message without sounding rude.
And if you want to be stronger, in a situation where someone is obviously aware of what they're doing, you can say, "Hey, I was here first. Please don't cut in line." These are direct, but they're still normal and acceptable.
I love that. And here's another thing learners should know. Emotions can change the way people speak. When someone is upset, they might exaggerate to show their feelings. Like the phrase, "This line is a mile long." Obviously, the line isn't a real mile, but the expression gives a sense of frustration. So exaggerations in English are very common and very useful.
Exactly. Exaggeration helps you express emotion without saying, "I'm angry" or "I'm impatient." And English is full of expressions like that. "I've been waiting forever." "This is taking ages." "There's no way I'm waiting another hour." These are emotional phrases, not literal descriptions, and they make your English sound more natural.
Now let's explore the deeper meaning behind cutting in line. Why does it bother people so much? It's interesting. Humans naturally like fairness. When someone skips the line, it's not just about time. It feels like disrespect, like someone is saying, "My time is more important than yours."
That's such a good point. And for English learners, this is a beautiful opportunity to expand your emotional vocabulary. For example, when someone cuts in line, you might feel annoyed, frustrated, disrespected, confused, impatient. Using emotional words helps you express yourself more clearly in daily life.
And one more thing. Even though cutting in line is frustrating, sometimes there are reasonable exceptions, like pregnant women, elderly people, people with disabilities, or someone who's having a medical emergency. So it can be a moment of kindness too. English has a phrase for that. "Go ahead, take my place." It's simple, but very generous.
Yes, and that's one of my favorite phrases. It shows compassion and understanding, and it's a beautiful reminder that sometimes the best English you can use is the language of kindness.
Another useful tip, if you ever need to ask to cut in line, maybe you're late for your flight or your child needs the restroom, you can say, "Excuse me, I'm really sorry, but may I go ahead? Would you mind if I go first? It's an emergency." Most people will understand if you explain honestly and politely.
So true. And situations like these help learners improve tone, maybe one of the most important parts of English. The same sentence can sound polite or rude depending on how you say it. Saying, "Let me through" sounds rude, but "Excuse me, may I go ahead" sounds thoughtful.
And that's exactly why this episode is so practical. It teaches social English, something we all need.
All right, Luca, I think we've warmed up the topic beautifully, and I can already feel learners thinking, "Oh, I've been in that situation before." And that's perfect. Real situations help you connect to the language naturally.
I agree. And now it's your turn, listeners. Think about the last time someone cut in line in front of you. How did you react? What did you want to say? What could you say now with the expressions you learned today?
Beautiful. And that brings us to part 1. Let's continue exploring this topic deeply, creatively, and in a way that makes English learning feel natural and enjoyable.
You know, Liana, something interesting happens when we talk about lines and fairness. People suddenly remember stories they haven't thought about in years. And it's funny how our brains hold on to these small everyday moments. They teach us a lot about patience, communication, and sometimes even our own personality. When someone cuts in line, your first reaction can tell you more about yourself than you expect.
That's true. Some people stay calm. Some people speak up immediately. Some people freeze because they don't know what to say. And some people feel confused. They want to say something, but they don't want to sound rude. That's why today's topic is so helpful. It gives you the tools to express yourself in English confidently without sounding too strong or too soft.
Speaking of tools, here's a great phrase learners can use when they feel uncomfortable but still want to stay polite. "Excuse me, I think there's a line here." This phrase is gentle. It doesn't accuse the person. It simply reminds them that there is an order. And what I love about it is that people often respond with, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't see it," even if they did see it. But the point is, you give them a chance to fix their behavior without embarrassment.
Yes, and here's another useful expression. "I believe the line continues behind us." This one is a little more formal, and it sounds very polite. It's especially good in places like airports, banks, government offices, or anywhere you want to sound calm and respectful. And the nice thing about this phrase is that it gives no space for argument. It's clear but soft.
Now let's talk about the emotional side, because emotions affect your English too. When someone cuts in line, you might feel a very quick mix of surprise and irritation. In English, we call this a spike of emotion. And during this spike, people sometimes say things without thinking, like, "Hey, what are you doing? Seriously? Unbelievable." These reactions are normal, but they can sometimes make the situation worse.
And that's why it's good to practice emotional language in advance. Think of phrases that help you stay calm. For example, "Sorry, we've all been waiting." "Could you please join the line at the back?" These phrases help you control the situation. They show confidence, not anger.
Here's a cultural tip that learners always find interesting. In many English-speaking countries, people value fairness quietly. They won't start a fight, but they will let you know if something isn't right. For example, in the UK, people often use small sounds to show disapproval, like a gentle tut-tut. Not loud, not aggressive, but definitely clear.
Exactly. And in the United States, people may be more direct. They might say something like, "Hey buddy, the line starts back there." It's casual, friendly, but still firm. And in Canada, people often apologize first, even if they didn't do anything wrong. They say, "Sorry, I think there's a line." It's their way of staying polite while correcting the situation.
And that's the beauty of learning English. You don't just learn words, you learn different communication styles. You learn where politeness begins and ends, and you learn how to express yourself in a way that matches the culture you're in.
Speaking of expressing yourself, let's teach a few helpful vocabulary words connected to today's theme. Queue, a British English word for line. Skip the line, another way of saying cut in line. Wait your turn, a phrase adults often use with children, but it's common among adults too. Hold your spot, to keep your place in line. Let someone go ahead. Allow someone to move in front of you as an act of kindness. All of these expressions appear in real conversations, so knowing them gives you more natural options.
And here's a little grammar moment for learners. When talking about lines, we often use modal verbs to express permission or possibility. For example, "May I go ahead?" "Could you please wait your turn?" "You can go first if you'd like." Modal verbs soften the tone. They make everything sound more polite and respectful.
I love that point. And let me add one more. Using modal verbs can help avoid conflict. Imagine saying, "Go back." That sounds aggressive. But if you say, "Could you please go to the back of the line?" It's calm and respectful. Same meaning, different emotion.
Now, let's talk about something that learners often forget. Sometimes cutting in line is just a misunderstanding. Maybe the line isn't clear. Maybe someone didn't see where the line starts. Maybe there are two lines that merge into one. In these cases, using soft, polite language helps avoid embarrassment for everyone.
That's a great point. And when you accidentally cut in line, yes, it happens to everyone, you can fix the situation easily with just one sentence. "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize. I'll go to the back." This one sentence shows respect, honesty, and good manners, and people respond positively to it almost every time.
Speaking of manners, there's a beautiful phrase that I want learners to hear. "Thank you for your patience." This phrase is used everywhere: airports, supermarkets, hospitals, customer service. It's a powerful phrase because it acknowledges that waiting is difficult. And when you say it, you sound thoughtful and considerate.
And here's a tip for building natural conversation. Use small emotional expressions to connect with people around you. For example, while waiting in line, you might say to someone, "This line is pretty long, isn't it? Looks like we'll be here for a while." These little comments are called small talk, and they help you practice English in real life.
Exactly. And small talk makes waiting feel lighter. Instead of being frustrated, you become part of a moment with another person, and that can change the whole experience.
So true. And in a way, lines teach us patience. Patience with others and patience with ourselves. They teach us how to handle frustration with grace, politeness, and a calm mind. And that's something learners can take not only into their English, but into their everyday life.
Beautifully said, Liana. And with that calm and clear mindset, let's continue exploring more ideas, expressions, and real-life examples in the next part.
Luca, you know what I find interesting about lines? They're like little lessons in human behavior. When people stand in line, you can see personalities without anyone even speaking. Some people keep checking their watches. Some look relaxed. Some start chatting with the person next to them. And some look like they're ready to explode. It's a quiet world with big emotions.
You're absolutely right. A line looks simple, but is full of unspoken rules, what we call social rules. And understanding those rules helps English learners understand how people think, how they communicate politely, and how they react when those rules are broken. Let's explore some of these unspoken rules because they're useful in English-speaking cultures.
Great idea. One common rule is something we call personal space. When you're standing in line, you don't stand too close to the person in front of you. You leave a small, comfortable distance. Maybe one step, maybe half a step. Standing too close can feel uncomfortable, and standing too far creates gaps that look like empty spaces, and those spaces often invite people to cut in.
Yes, and that's a very real situation. If the gap is too big, someone might step in without realizing there was a line. That's why you'll often hear people say politely, "Is this the line?" or "Are you in line?" These are simple but extremely helpful questions for learners.
And here's a very nice phrase that sounds natural and friendly. Are you waiting in line? People ask this when they're not sure if someone is standing or just checking their phone. It's a good way to avoid accidentally cutting in.
Absolutely. And let's talk about another rule, eye contact. In some cultures, eye contact is not common, but in English-speaking countries, a small amount of eye contact can prevent misunderstandings. For example, if someone tries to walk ahead of you, a simple look can communicate, "Excuse me, I'm standing here." No words needed.
That's so true. And sometimes the opposite happens. People avoid eye contact because they know they're breaking the rules. When someone cuts in line on purpose, they often look away quickly. They avoid looking at anyone, almost like they want to disappear.
That's something learners should know. Avoiding eye contact sometimes means the person knows they're doing something wrong. It's a sign of discomfort or guilt, and understanding these signs helps learners read situations better.
Let's teach some more useful expressions. How about phrases for expressing patience? For example, "We'll get there eventually." "No rush, it's okay." "I don't mind waiting." These are lovely phrases that help create a peaceful atmosphere.
And for more emotional moments, we can teach phrases to express frustration politely. For example, "I've been waiting for a long time." "This is taking longer than I expected." "I hope the line moves soon."
These expressions are honest but still respectful.
And that's something English learners really need, a way to express emotion without sounding rude. Emotional balance is a big part of communication. Now, let's talk about an interesting English expression, "The early bird gets the worm." This means that people who arrive early get the advantage, and it connects beautifully to today's topic. When you're early, you stand at the front of the line, and people respect that.
Oh, I love that expression. And here's another one that's related. First come, first served. This means people are helped in the order they arrive. You hear this at restaurants, clinics, airports, and ticket counters. It's an important part of English culture.
Yes, and if someone cuts in line, they break the first come, first served rule. That's why people react strongly. They feel the system is being ignored.
You know, Luca, sometimes misunderstandings happen when people don't know where the line begins. So here's a great phrase learners can use. "Excuse me, where does the line start?" It's clear, polite, and removes confusion instantly.
And if you ever need to join a group line, like at a bus stop or train station, you can say, "Is this the end of the line?" This is a natural phrase that native speakers use all the time.
Here's something interesting. Lines also bring people together. You'd be surprised how many friendships start because two strangers were waiting in the same line. In English, this small interaction is called line talk. It's not deep conversation, but it breaks the silence and creates connection.
Yes, you might say something simple like, "Looks like a long wait today." I hope this goes faster. These small comments create a friendly moment, and they're wonderful opportunities for learners to practice English naturally.
Let's explore another aspect, body language. When someone wants to show they're waiting politely, they often stand straight, look forward, and keep their hands relaxed. But when someone is frustrated, you might see crossed arms, tapping feet, or heavy sighs.
Exactly. And here's something learners should know. When someone sighs loudly in line, it doesn't always mean they're angry at you. Sometimes it's just a way of releasing stress. English speakers use sighs to express emotion when words aren't enough.
That's a beautiful insight. And sometimes people in line bond over frustration by sharing a small laugh or a comment. Something like, "I picked the wrong day for this. I should have brought a book." These small jokes create a relaxed environment and help people deal with waiting.
Speaking of jokes, here's a playful phrase native speakers sometimes use when the line is moving slowly. At this rate, we'll be here until next year. Obviously not true, but it shows humor, and humor helps reduce stress.
And humor makes your English sound more natural, too. Adding a little exaggeration or a small joke can turn a stressful moment into a shared experience.
Here's one more cultural note. In English-speaking countries, people usually don't push or shove in line. Pushing is considered very rude, and it makes others uncomfortable. People expect gentle behavior, calm movements, and quiet respect for the space around them.
Exactly. And that's why cutting in line feels like a big violation, not just of the rules, but of the spirit of patience and fairness. Learning how to respond politely gives you power. It helps you stay calm and confident in daily life.
And with that calm understanding, we can continue exploring this topic even deeper in the next part. Liana, I think one of the most fascinating things about waiting in line is how it reveals a person's mindset. Some people treat waiting as a problem, while others treat it as a natural part of life. And the truth is, waiting is something we all have to do, whether it's at the supermarket, at the airport, at a restaurant, or even online. So learning how to wait gracefully is almost like learning a life skill. And today, we're teaching that skill through English.
Absolutely, Luca. And I love that idea, waiting as a life skill. It's something we don't think about often, but it affects our daily routine. When you wait calmly, you protect your energy, you make better decisions, and you communicate more clearly. And English gives us so many expressions that help us stay positive during moments that could be stressful.
Yes. For example, here's a phrase that people use when they want to stay relaxed. It'll move soon. It's a simple sentence, but it carries hope. It keeps the frustration away. Another common expression is, we're getting there. It's a way to say we're making progress, even if the movement is slow.
And another one that I personally love, one step at a time. It's not just about lines, it's a beautiful life lesson. When you're waiting, you may not see the end, but every few seconds you move forward. And that's how growth works too, slowly but surely.
Exactly. And speaking of movement, let's talk about how to react when someone accidentally steps into your space. Maybe they didn't realize there was a line. Maybe they entered the store from a different door. Whatever the reason, a gentle question can solve everything. For example, "Oh, sorry, are you in the line?" This question is polite and gives the other person a chance to understand the situation.
That's such a friendly way to handle confusion. And here's another phrase that works wonderfully. I think the line is over there. It's calm, it's gentle, and it doesn't blame anyone. And the beauty of English is that tone matters just as much as the words. When you say it with a soft tone, it feels helpful, not confrontational.
Yes, tone is everything. Even a simple sentence like, "you cut in line," can sound either angry or informative depending on your tone. If you say it sharply, it sounds like an accusation. But if you say it gently, it sounds like information. And many English learners forget that tone can change the meaning completely.
And that leads to another important lesson. English often uses indirect expressions to keep the conversation polite. Instead of saying, "you cut," native speakers might say, "I think the line is behind me." "We've been waiting." These sentences are indirect, but very clear.
And indirect language is extremely common in English because it helps avoid conflict. It keeps the communication soft. And even when people are upset, they still prefer to use calm expressions.
Let's add another useful phrase. Could you please wait your turn? This one is polite but firm. It's perfect when someone clearly knows what they're doing. And it uses could, which makes the sentence sound respectful.
I love that. And here's a great mini grammar tip. When giving polite instructions in English, we often use modal verbs like could, would, or may. For example, would you mind standing in the line? May I go ahead? I'm running late. These modal verbs help soften your request and make your English sound more natural.
And softening your language is not about being weak. It's about being smart. You protect your emotions and the other person's emotions. That's powerful communication.
Yes, and let's talk about something deeper. Sometimes cutting in line isn't selfishness, it's stress. Maybe the person is running late, maybe they're anxious, maybe they're overwhelmed. When we see behavior we don't like, we often forget that people might be dealing with invisible struggles.
That's such an important point. Sometimes the best English you can use is kindness. Even if you correct someone, you can still be gentle. For example, I understand you're in a hurry, but the line starts here.
This sentence acknowledges their feelings while still setting boundaries.
And boundaries are essential in communication. They help you protect your time, your space, and your emotional well-being. And boundaries can be expressed in English politely and confidently.
Yes, and speaking of boundaries, here's a phrase English speakers use to stay calm when the line is moving slowly. It is what it is. It means we can't change it, so let's stay peaceful. This phrase helps you accept the situation instead of fighting it. Another popular phrase is, no point getting upset. It's a reminder that frustration won't make the line move faster.
And here's a comforting expression. We'll get through it. This phrase can calm you, and it's also a nice way to comfort someone else who looks impatient.
It's amazing how language can help you manage your emotions. The right phrase at the right moment can make you feel stronger, calmer, and more patient.
Yes, and let's not forget the educational opportunity here. When you're waiting in line, you can use the time to practice English in your mind. For example, you can think about how to describe your surroundings. You can practice new vocabulary. You can pay attention to how people speak around you.
That's a wonderful idea. The line becomes your classroom. You can repeat phrases silently, observe conversations, or even practice thinking in English. And this makes waiting feel productive instead of frustrating.
And here's something beautiful. Standing in line teaches us that even when life slows down, we are still moving forward. Every step, even a small step, brings us closer to our goal.
That's a peaceful way to look at it. And with that calm mindset, we can go even deeper into real-life situations and expressions in the next part.
You know, Luca, one thing I always notice about lines is how they reveal our inner feelings. Even the calmest person can suddenly feel impatient when the line stops moving. And that's when our thoughts start racing. Why is it taking so long? Or did they forget about us? Or I should have come earlier. These thoughts can make waiting feel heavier than it actually is. But when you know the right language and the right mindset, that weight becomes lighter.
Absolutely. And you're so right. Our thoughts shape the whole experience. If you fill your mind with stress, the line feels endless. But if you stay present and peaceful, the weight becomes manageable. And this is where English phrases can help you shift your mindset. For example, it's okay, I've got time. This is part of the process. I might as well relax. These simple sentences can calm your mind and keep you centered.
And while we're talking about mindset, let's introduce a few useful expressions native speakers use when the situation is completely out of their control. For example, what can you do? This means we can't change anything, so there's no reason to fight the moment. Another beautiful one is, we're all in the same boat. This reminds us that everyone is waiting together. No one is alone in the experience.
Yes, and that phrase is great because it creates connection. It brings people together instead of creating frustration. And connection is powerful, especially in a situation where emotions can rise quickly, like when someone cuts in line.
Speaking of that, let's explore something that many learners ask. How do we stay polite when someone is clearly being rude? That's a real challenge. Sometimes you want to stay calm, but your emotions feel stronger than your words. That's why having prepared phrases is helpful. Here are a few gentle but firm responses when someone tries to cut in line. Excuse me, but we've all been waiting. Sorry, the line continues behind us. I think you may have skipped the line. These sentences are polite, but they send a strong message.
Exactly. And for a slightly stronger but still respectful tone, you can say, please don't cut in. We need to follow the line. These expressions show clear boundaries. They're perfect when the person's behavior is intentional and not just a mistake.
And sometimes things don't need words at all. A small hand gesture, like pointing gently behind you, can be enough. Body language in English-speaking cultures is subtle but powerful. A small gesture, a polite smile, even a raised eyebrow can communicate the line is back there.
That's true. And here's an important cultural note for learners. English speakers usually avoid loud conversations. They prefer quiet correction, polite reminders, or simple questions. Being calm is seen as a sign of emotional intelligence. So when you use calm expressions, you're not just speaking English, you're communicating in the style of the culture.
Let's also talk about what happens when you accidentally cut in line. It happens. Maybe you didn't see the line. Maybe you thought people were just standing around. Maybe you misread the situation. And in these moments, a quick apology fixes everything. For example, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize. I'll move back." "My apologies. I didn't see the line." These sentences show responsibility and respect, and people appreciate honesty.
And here's something beautiful. Apologizing doesn't make you weak. It makes you kind. It makes people trust you. And in English-speaking countries, apologies are very common. People say sorry even when it's not their fault. It's part of the culture, a way to keep interactions smooth and peaceful.
Yes, and it shows emotional awareness. And emotional awareness is just as important as grammar or vocabulary. It helps you understand situations that don't follow strict rules. It helps you choose the right words at the right moment.
Speaking of vocabulary, let's teach a few very practical words related to lines. Orderly, when people are standing neatly, calmly, in the correct order. Crowded, when there are many people in a small space. Impatient, when someone can't wait any longer. Tense, when the atmosphere feels tight or uncomfortable. Polite reminder, a gentle way of correcting someone.
These words appear in everyday English, and using them helps your descriptions become more natural.
And here's a phrase that's really useful when a line suddenly stops moving. Any idea what's going on up there? People in line often ask this when they're curious or confused. It's a nice way to start a little conversation, too.
Yes, and here's another. "Looks like we're stuck." It's casual, friendly, and a very common comment. And little conversations like these can reduce frustration. Now, let's explore another moment when someone tries to save a spot for a friend who arrives late. Sometimes this is acceptable, sometimes it's not. And here's a polite way to question it. Were you saving a place for them? This gives the person a chance to explain. And if saving a spot isn't allowed, you can say, "Sorry, but we all had to wait. They need to join the back of the line."
That's excellent. And learners should know that saving a spot is a debated topic. Some people see it as harmless, others feel it's unfair. And the best way to handle it is with politeness and clarity.
And here's something helpful for English learners to remember. When you speak calmly, people listen more. This is a communication secret. A calm voice has strength. It shows control, and it encourages the other person to stay calm too.
Yes, calmness is powerful, and using calm English in moments of tension makes you sound confident, wise, and emotionally balanced. It's one of the best skills you can develop, not just for language learning, but for life.
And that's why I believe that conversations about everyday situations, like waiting in line, are so valuable. They prepare you for real life, they help you grow as a communicator, and they give you tools to stay peaceful in stressful moments.
Beautifully said, Liana. And with that, we can continue into even deeper situations, stronger expressions, and more helpful insights in the next part. Liana, something I find truly fascinating is how lines can test our communication skills in unexpected ways. When emotions rise, people often forget how to express themselves clearly. But those difficult moments are actually opportunities to practice calmness, confidence, and kindness. And for English learners, these moments become a powerful way to strengthen real-life communication.
Absolutely, Luca. Sometimes the most valuable English you learn comes from real experiences, not textbooks. And situations like someone cutting in line teach you how to react with emotional intelligence. They teach you how to stay respectful while still standing up for yourself. That's a life skill, not just a language skill.
You're right. And let's imagine a very common situation. You're standing quietly in line at a coffee shop. Maybe you've been waiting 10 minutes. Then someone walks straight to the front and says, "I just need one drink." That moment, right there, is where your English becomes important. What do you say? How do you say it?
Exactly. And here's a great expression for that situation. Sorry, we've been waiting too. It's polite but clear. Another useful one is, you'll need to join the line. This sentence is direct but not rude, and the tone, calm and steady, makes all the difference.
Yes, tone changes everything. You could say the same sentence in an aggressive way or in a peaceful way. And in English, peaceful communication is usually the preferred path. Here's another phrase learners can use. Everyone has to wait their turn. This phrase sounds fair, not confrontational.
And fairness is at the center of this entire topic. People care deeply about fairness, even in small situations like lines. It's part of human nature. And that's why even gentle phrases can have a strong impact. Here's one more helpful expression. I think you might have skipped the line. This is soft, gentle, and very common in English-speaking countries.
Now, let's talk about the opposite situation, when someone reacts emotionally, maybe loudly or aggressively. It happens, and it can feel uncomfortable. But English gives you strategies to protect yourself and keep things peaceful. For example, you can say, "Let's stay calm, please." No need for anger. We can solve this politely. These phrases help bring the temperature down. They shift the conversation from conflict to cooperation.
That's so important. And sometimes silence is also powerful. You don't always have to respond with words. A peaceful expression, a small step back, or a simple gesture toward the back of the line can communicate everything clearly.
Absolutely. Many people underestimate the power of gentle body language. Calm energy influences the whole atmosphere. And English speakers really respect quiet confidence. You don't have to be loud to be strong.
Let's add more practical vocabulary that appears in line-related situations. Queue jumping, the act of cutting in line. Hold my place, asking someone to keep your spot temporarily. Merge into the line, when two lines join into one. A long wait, a slow-moving line. The line's moving. People are finally going forward. These words come up in daily conversations all the time.
Yes, and speaking of holding a place, learners often ask what's acceptable. Can someone hold a spot for one person? What about two? What about a whole group? In English-speaking cultures, holding a place for one person is usually fine, but holding a place for many people is considered unfair.
Definitely. And if someone tries to join a friend far ahead in the line, you can respond politely. Sorry, but we all had to wait. The end of the line is back there. This is respectful and clear, and people usually respond well when the message is delivered calmly.
Let's explore another meaningful angle, patience. Patience is a quiet strength. When you wait without complaining, you show maturity, you show balance, you show emotional stability. And English has so many beautiful expressions connected to patience, like, good things take time. Slow and steady wins the race. Be patient, it'll happen. These expressions work in lines, but also in life.
Yes, and I love the phrase, take a deep breath. It's a simple instruction, but incredibly calming. It helps your mind stay focused, and English speakers use it often in stressful moments.
And here's something I've learned personally. Waiting in line gives you a chance to slow down, something we rarely do in modern life. The world is fast, people are always rushing, but when you're in line, you can't rush. You can only breathe, observe, and accept the moment.
That's beautifully said, Luca. And waiting becomes peaceful when you stop fighting it. You can use the time to reflect, to practice gratitude, or even to mentally review English vocabulary. The line becomes a gift, a quiet pause in a busy day.
Let's also talk about group situations. Sometimes you're with friends or family and someone tries to cut in front of all of you. In that case, teamwork helps. One person can speak for the group by saying, "Excuse me, there's a line here." Or, "Sorry, we've been waiting as a group." These phrases support everyone without sounding aggressive.
And this is great practice for learners who want to sound confident, because confidence doesn't come from volume. It comes from clarity. It comes from knowing exactly what to say. And once you know the right expressions, you can handle any situation calmly.
Now, let's imagine one more situation. The line is long, but someone behind you looks stressed or worried. Maybe they're holding a crying child, maybe they're carrying too many bags, maybe they're breathing heavily. You have an opportunity to show kindness. You can say, "Would you like to go ahead of me?" This small gesture can change someone's entire day.
And that's one of the most beautiful things about lines. They give you small, unexpected chances to be kind. And kindness always comes back to you. Using English to help, support, or comfort someone, that's powerful communication.
Yes, and these moments remind us that English isn't just about words. It's about connection, it's about understanding, it's about making the world a little softer, one sentence at a time.
That's exactly why I love talking about everyday situations. They reveal who we are and who we want to become. And for English learners, they offer endless opportunities to grow. Not just in language, but in empathy, patience, and wisdom.
Beautiful thoughts, Liana. And with that, we're ready to move even deeper into practical examples and meaningful insights in the next part.
Luca, I think one of the most powerful lessons hidden inside today's topic is how we choose to respond when things don't go our way. A long line, someone cutting in, slow service. These moments are small, but they are mirrors. They show our patience, our communication skills, and our emotional maturity. And for English learners, these moments offer the perfect chance to practice language that expresses calm strength instead of frustration.
Very true, Liana. And the beautiful thing is that English provides so many gentle, balanced expressions for uncomfortable situations. Instead of exploding or staying silent, you can respond with clarity and confidence. That's what we want our listeners to learn. Not just what to say, but how to say it. Not just the words, but the mindset behind the words.
Exactly. And let's imagine a very real situation. You're waiting at the bus stop, and suddenly someone walks right past everyone and stands in front. You feel that little spark of irritation, like a tiny fire inside. But instead of reacting quickly, you breathe, and then you choose a phrase like, "Excuse me, I think the line starts back there." See how calm that sounds? It's gentle, polite, but firm.
And what I like about that phrase is that it gives the other person space to correct themselves. You're not attacking, you're not judging, you're simply giving information. And this is a key part of English communication, sharing the message without turning it into a conflict.
Yes, and here's another expression that's very useful in public spaces. "Sorry, we've been waiting here." This sentence includes the word "we," which makes it stronger. It shows that the entire group is affected, and people respond differently when they realize their actions impact more than one person.
You're right. And the word sorry, even when you're not apologizing for anything, softens the message. English speakers use sorry to make interactions smoother. That's why you often hear, "Sorry, were you in line?" "Sorry, is this the queue?" Politeness is built into the language.
And that's something learners sometimes forget. Politeness in English is not just etiquette, it's communication style. It makes everyday interactions more comfortable and peaceful, and that's why we're teaching it today.
Let's dive into a different angle, feeling nervous about speaking up. Many learners worry that they will sound rude or incorrect, and because of that fear, they stay silent even when someone behaves unfairly. But staying silent can create frustration inside. That's why it's important to learn simple, safe sentences like, "Excuse me, is there a line? Where should I stand?" These questions don't accuse anyone, they simply clarify, and that makes them great for learners who want to avoid conflict.
Yes, and these sentences also prevent misunderstandings. Sometimes the person didn't cut the line, they truly didn't see it. Maybe the layout is confusing. Maybe there's no clear sign. Maybe people are standing all over the place. A gentle question solves everything.
And questions are powerful because they invite conversation instead of confrontation. Here's another helpful one. Are you also waiting? This question is soft, friendly, and extremely common in English-speaking countries.
Now let's explore deeper emotions. Sometimes waiting in line creates more than irritation. It creates anxiety. Maybe you're late for work. Maybe you're worried about missing your flight. Maybe you're holding something heavy. In those moments, you can use English to express your needs politely. For example, "I'm really sorry, but could I go ahead? I'm running late for my appointment." Or, "Would you mind if I go first? I have a time-sensitive situation."
And most people respond kindly when you explain your situation honestly. English speakers appreciate clear communication. They prefer when someone expresses their needs directly instead of staying silent and suffering quietly.
And honesty creates connection. It reminds people that we're all human. And sometimes showing your vulnerability, politely and respectfully, opens the door to kindness.
Speaking of kindness, let's talk about one of my favorite moments. When the person behind you is struggling. Maybe they're carrying a child, maybe they look sick, maybe they're holding many bags, and you say, "Would you like to go ahead of me?" That small gesture becomes a moment of humanity.
Yes, and kindness doesn't need to be grand or dramatic. Even a simple smile or letting someone step forward can make someone's entire day brighter. And lines give us opportunities to show these little acts of compassion.
Let's share some vocabulary connected to these emotional situations. Considerate, showing care for others. Respectful, behaving in a polite and thoughtful way. Impolite, rude or disrespectful behavior. Tension, emotional pressure in a situation. Resolve, to fix or settle a problem.
These words help learners describe the atmosphere around them and their feelings clearly.
And describing your feelings is essential for building strong English skills. Instead of saying bad, you can say, "I felt uncomfortable. I felt ignored. I felt annoyed." These words help you express your feelings more accurately.
And accurate communication leads to better understanding. When you can describe how you feel, you can solve problems more effectively, in English and in life.
Let's explore another scenario. Imagine you're in a theme park, waiting for a ride. The line is long, and suddenly a group of 5 people tries to join their friend in front of you. This happens a lot, especially in tourist places. Here's a natural response. "Excuse me, the end of the line is behind us." Notice the calm tone. No anger, no shouting, just clarity.
Yes, and if they insist, you can add, "We've all been waiting, so they need to join the back." This shows fairness and confidence.
And if there's a staff member nearby, you can say, "Could you help us? They're trying to skip the line." This removes conflict completely. You let the staff handle the situation.
That's a wonderful strategy, asking for help instead of arguing. It keeps you safe, calm, and respectful.
And that's the message we want to share. English is not only a language, it's a tool for solving problems peacefully, a tool for understanding others, a tool for expressing your needs with confidence.
Beautifully said, Liana. And with all of these insights, expressions, and real-life situations, we're ready to explore even more in the next part. Luca, I think one of the most eye-opening things about this topic is how lines show us the difference between reacting and responding. Reacting is quick, emotional, and sometimes messy. Responding is thoughtful, calm, and more powerful. And English learners benefit so much when they learn how to respond in these small, everyday situations, because these skills prepare them for bigger conversations in life.
So true, Liana. And what I love about responding calmly is that it gives you control. When someone cuts in line, you might feel that spark of irritation inside, but responding with calm English shows real strength. It tells the world, I'm in control of myself, And that confidence is what makes communication effective.
Exactly. And that's why I want to start this part with a very simple but powerful sentence. Let's keep things respectful. Isn't that beautiful? It sounds mature, calm, and centered. It shows that you want harmony, not conflict. And English learners can use this in many situations, not just in lines.
Absolutely. And here's another one. We're all trying to get through this. This sentence reminds everyone that the situation is shared. It turns strangers into teammates. It changes the atmosphere from negative to cooperative. And English has many expressions like this, expressions that connect people instead of dividing them.
Speaking of connection, let's talk about something that often surprises learners, the power of small gestures. In English-speaking cultures, people appreciate polite gestures just as polite words. For example, stepping slightly aside so someone can pass, holding a door, or smiling when someone apologizes. These little actions communicate kindness without saying a single word.
Yes, and here's a phrase that matches that energy. No worries, it happens. This is such a comforting sentence. If someone accidentally cuts in line and they apologize, saying no worries helps them feel safe and accepted. It removes tension and replaces it with kindness.
I love that phrase. And here's one more. All good. It's casual, friendly, and widely used. People say it in supermarkets, airports, coffee shops, everywhere. It means don't feel bad, everything's fine.
Now, let's talk about a real challenge, feeling embarrassed. Sometimes you're the one who made a mistake. Maybe you joined the wrong line. Maybe you didn't realize there was a line. Maybe you stepped too far forward without noticing. In these moments, a simple apology goes a long way. For example, "Oh, my mistake. I'll join the back."
This sentence is polite, light, and natural.
Yes, and English speakers almost always appreciate honesty. When you admit your mistake with a smile, people immediately relax. They admire the maturity. Because mistakes happen to everyone. What matters is how we handle them.
Let's introduce a few more very natural phrases. I didn't see the line. Sorry about that. Is this the right place to wait? Thanks for letting me know.
These sentences are perfect when you're unsure or confused.
And here's something important for English learners. Never be afraid to ask questions. Asking a question doesn't make you look weak. It makes you look smart. It shows you care about respect and clarity. And English speakers respond better to curiosity than to silence.
Absolutely. And while we're on this topic, let's talk about collective patience. When a line moves slowly, people sometimes start talking to each other. Little conversations like this create a sense of community. For example, someone might say, "Looks like they're short-staffed today." Busy afternoon, isn't it? These small exchanges help people feel connected and less frustrated.
And small talk is one of the best English skills learners can practice. Talking about something simple, like the weather or the length of the line, can open the door to deeper conversations later. It's gentle, it's social, and it's a great way to improve fluency.
Another thing learners often ask is, how do I avoid sounding rude when I'm frustrated? Good question. Tone and tempo help a lot. When you're upset, your voice often becomes sharp, but you can keep your tone calm by slowing down your speech. For example, instead of saying, "You cut in line," you could say, "I think the line continues behind us." Same meaning, totally different energy.
Yes, and that slow, controlled tone makes your English sound more confident and mature. Here's a very helpful phrase that works in tense moments. Let's sort this out calmly. It's gentle but authoritative. It helps everyone breathe again.
Liana, that's such a good point. And here's another angle. Sometimes people cut in line because they assume no one will say anything. But when you speak up calmly, you set a respectful boundary. And boundaries are so important in communication. They protect your time, your space, and your emotional energy.
Exactly. And setting boundaries doesn't have to be aggressive. It can be as simple as saying, "Excuse me, I was ahead of you." This sentence is polite but clear. It doesn't attack the person, it simply explains the situation.
Now, let's talk about a situation many learners experience, being unsure where the line begins. Sometimes there's no sign, no rope, no clear order. Maybe people are standing in a messy group and you don't want to accidentally cut. In that case, the best thing to do is ask. A simple question like, "Is this the end of the line?"
Immediately solves the problem and shows good manners. Yes. And here's another helpful question. Who's the last person in line? This is very common in places like bus stops, airports, or offices. It helps you join the correct position without making anyone uncomfortable.
Let's also talk about vocabulary that describes these unclear situations. Unorganized line, no clear structure. Mixed line, when two groups accidentally merge. Crowded space, a place that's full of people. Back of the line, the last position. The front, the first position. These words help learners describe real-life situations more accurately.
And describing situations clearly is essential for good communication. When you can explain what's happening, people understand you better and trust you more. That's why we focus so much on clarity today.
Yes, and clarity doesn't just make your English better, it makes your life easier. Whether it's at a grocery store, a clinic, a bus station, or an airport, knowing how to communicate calmly helps everything go more smoothly.
And I think one of the most beautiful messages we can share today is this. Lines teach patience, and patience teaches peace. When you stay calm in small moments, you become stronger in big moments.
Absolutely. And with that calm strength growing inside, we're ready to explore even more helpful strategies, deeper insights, and richer expressions in the next part.
Luca, as we reach this final part, I think it's beautiful to reflect on how something as simple as standing in line can teach us so much about communication, patience, respect, and emotional balance. It almost feels like a small training ground for life. You learn how to wait, how to speak kindly, how to set boundaries, and how to read the emotions of people around you. And for English learners, this experience becomes a rich environment for practicing real, practical language.
You're right, Liana, and I love that thought. A line as a training ground, because every moment in that line gives you a chance to grow. Whether someone cuts in front of you, or the line stops moving, or there's confusion about where the line begins, you can choose how to respond. And that choice is powerful. It shapes the atmosphere around you, and it shapes your communication skills.
Exactly. And today, we've explored so many sides of this simple topic. We talked about fairness, politeness, cultural expectations, tone, gestures, patience, boundaries, and kindness. And I hope our listeners realize that learning English is not just about grammar or memorizing vocabulary. It's about learning how to express yourself with clarity, with calmness, and with confidence, even in challenging situations.
Speaking of expressing yourself, let's give our learners a few more advanced yet simple expressions they can use to sound natural in everyday interactions. For example, "I appreciate your patience." This is something staff members often say to customers when lines are long. It's polite, warm, and very common.
Yes, and here's another one. Thanks for understanding. This is helpful when someone corrects another person politely and they want to soften the moment afterward. It shows respect and keeps the atmosphere friendly.
Let's also give our learners a beautiful phrase that helps them stay calm in stressful situations. Let's take it step by step. It's a peaceful reminder, not just for lines, but for life. It tells you don't need to rush, you don't need to push, you don't need to panic. You just need to take the next step.
And for moments when someone apologizes to you, maybe they accidentally cut in line or bumped into you, you can say, "No problem, we're all trying our best." This sentence brings kindness into the situation. It reminds both people that everyone is human.
And that message is at the heart of today's episode, humanity. We all experience frustration, confusion, stress, and impatience. But we also experience kindness, understanding, and cooperation. Standing in line reminds us that we're all connected. We all share the same space, the same moment, and sometimes even the same struggles.
That's so true. And I love that lines give us tiny chances to be heroes for a moment, to help someone, to show patience, to choose kindness over irritation. It's amazing how these small choices can create a ripple of positivity. And English gives us the words to make those choices gently and respectfully.
Let's also highlight one more beautiful idea for our learners. Silence can be communication too. You don't always need the perfect sentence. Sometimes a calm expression, a gentle hand gesture, or a soft smile communicates everything. Respect doesn't always need words. But when words are needed, now our listeners know exactly what to say.
Yes, and I hope this gives learners confidence. Confidence to speak up when necessary, confidence to ask questions, confidence to stay calm, and confidence to express themselves naturally in English. When you know the right words, you feel more free, you feel capable, you feel ready.
Before we close, let's give one final set of useful expressions, a small toolkit that learners can carry with them. To correct someone politely, "Excuse me, the line continues behind us." "I think you might have missed the line. Please wait your turn." To ask about the line, "Is this the end of the line? Who's last? Are you also waiting?" To show kindness, "Would you like to go ahead of me? Take your time. No worries, all good." To comfort yourself, "It'll move soon. We'll get through this. No need to stress."
What a beautiful collection of everyday English. And I truly hope our listeners feel empowered, encouraged, and inspired. English isn't just a language, it's a bridge that helps you connect with people, solve problems, and handle life with more grace.
Yes, and if you ever find yourself standing in a long line somewhere in the world, remember this conversation. Remember that you have the tools to stay calm, to communicate respectfully, and to choose kindness. And that's a wonderful feeling.
Absolutely. And with that, we want to thank all of you for spending this time with us. Your dedication to learning, your openness, and your curiosity make everything we do worth it. You're not just learning English, you're becoming more confident communicators, more patient people, and more understanding members of the world.
And we're truly honored to be part of that journey with you.
If you enjoyed this episode and found it useful, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment. Your support helps us grow, and it helps more learners around the world find helpful, calm, and inspiring English content.
And we'll be here waiting for you with more lessons, more stories, and more beautiful ideas right here on English Fluent Zone.
Until next time, take care, stay patient, stay kind, and keep learning with joy.
I can't believe it took us 2 hours to get here. The traffic in New York is unbelievable.
Yeah, but just relax, honey. We're here and we're going on vacation. In a few hours, we'll be in Hawaii and you'll be on the golf course.
Oh no, look at that line. It must be a mile long. There's no way I'm waiting for another 2 hours.
Honey, don't.
Hey, man, the end of the line is over there.
Yeah.
No, seriously, I was here first, and you can't cut in line like this.
Says who?
I do.
So sue me.
All right, that's it.
All right, we're back. Now, this guy, when he says sue me, he's just being rude. I mean, he's just being kind of
Impolite.
and telling him, I don't care.
Right. Exactly.
Like you can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
Okay, today in the studio, we have a guest. Her name is Sarah, and she's from England.
Hi there.
Hello.
All right. So we're going to be asking her a couple of questions, and she'll be a frequent guest on our show, so you can expect to hear from her a lot.
Well, she didn't know that.
it's a surprise.
She knows now.
Well, Sarah, our topic today is about jumping the queue.
Okay, Amira, wait. What is this jump the queue?
It's the same as cut in line, but in British English.
Ah, okay.
Yes, queuing. It's very important in England. We're very proud of our queues. It's true.
So what would be the reaction of people if they cut in line?
I think we do take it very seriously. I'm laughing now, but it's quite serious. So you don't jump the queue. If people jump in front of you, it's you get a little tuts and sort of shouldn't be doing that, and we make it very obvious. And in the
So you say it out loud.
we would, perhaps say something, and we have systems. In London on the metro, on the underground, you have to stand on the escalators on the right and queue, and you can't jump in front. You have to walk on the left and queue on the right. And it's all very serious. There's rules and regulations.
Is there like a Q handbook that you have to read in high school and kind of take a test on?
Perhaps there should be. Yeah.
Wow.
What about New York, Marco?
Well, no, definitely. I guess this dialogue is similar to a reality of New York. If somebody gets in front of you or cuts the line, somebody's going to say something and probably end up in a fight if the guy is rude. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, Sarah, why don't you tell us, is there a line or a cue for almost everything in England?
It seems like we do just like to form a queue. Yeah. So,
Can you think of like some other examples of where you would normally you wouldn't queue, but you do?
Oh gosh. Things like in the supermarket when you're trying to find some vegetables or something, I'd never sort of reach round or anything. I'd sort of wait until that person had finished picking up their stuff and then go in. So just try and...
So if like 5 people want to buy oranges at the supermarket, then you have a little mini queue of 5 people
maybe a little bit. Just,
waiting.
There's no sort of just shoving through it to the front. You just don't do that.
So you don't stick your hand out and grab like a tomato.
Well, if you do, again, you would make sure that person knows. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm just in a hurry or whatever. But yeah, it's just letting someone go before you. It's a courtesy, I think.
Okay.
It's quite important to us.
All right.
Right.
Great
Well,
stuff.
thank you so much, Sarah.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, we'll have you back very soon. So, all right, we're out of time, but we'll be back tomorrow with another lesson. And be sure to visit our website. Don't forget that EnglishPod.com has many, many resources and also a community of users and teachers that can help you answer questions and interact with you.
Yes, and you should definitely leave your suggestions. But for now, I wish you all well and bye.
The English Pod Audio Review. Listen to the meaning, then say the vocabulary word. Unbelievable. Relax. Be a mile long. Cut in line. There's no way. Traffic jam. A few hours from now. Form a queue. Jump the queue. Stand in line. Line up. Let's try that faster. Form a queue. Stand in line. Be a mile long. Line up. Unbelievable. Traffic jam. Relax. Cut in line. There's no way. A few hours from now. Jump the queue. Now say the word and hear it in a sentence. Unbelievable. 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 Relax. 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 Cut in line. Cut in line. Cut in line.